Hey guys, welcome. Vlog number 2. You are never working for someone else, but always for yourself. So, where I currently am in life, and being my second vlog, my focus is around awareness, consciousness, in life in general, but also around the work environment. So hopefully this will connect with others out there, and this will resonate with you and help you along your journey. My first vlog. You'll see has a little bit of insight there, background, some awesome content. It is a little bit on the lengthy side, and it is a little bit on the somber side, if I could say. So just bear with me with regarding my first vlog. As I grow, I'll obviously get a little bit better, tweak styles, etc. I may re-record certain parts in that. So just to uplift it a little bit more, but just so you're aware of that. So hopefully this second vlog will be a little bit more energetic. I'll try and speed it up a little bit, so it's not as long as the first one. So I hope you find some awesome information, content that can help you and enhance your life out there. I'm going to follow the same content in terms of screen recording. This gives me clarity when I'm typing the content out, and hopefully it will be a good reference point for you guys out there as well. So I'll check you in the screen recording. Okay, so you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself. So that perhaps is a bold statement, yet a true statement. We could perhaps also say we are creating the world we live, but why I chose this particular title or statement is because it became very evident in my life and work when I became more conscious and aware of how we create our realities. So this statement is either going to be from a conscious level or an unconscious level. Okay, so Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness, he talks about this and the law of assumption and how we live according to this law, which is always in action. Fascinating to say the least. So check out his book or look at some of his work on YouTube, which Josiah Brandt actually does some awesome recordings on. So whether you are working in a job or career, or you're the founder, the owner, CEO, or answering to shareholders, whatever the case may be, you are always working for yourself. When you have this in the back of your mind, you are now guiding your own life on a conscious level and not waiting for the world to tell you who you are or where you are going. But let's unpack this a little bit more to get some better understanding. Okay. So if you do not believe this statement, you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself, then I believe you will be operating on an unconscious level and you will be subject to the world and what it dictates. A job will then just be a job, or life will just be what life is, and through your current perception, either good or not so good. But ultimately, as per my first vlog on steps to overcoming anxiety and stress at work or in life and finding peace, a bit of a tongue twister there. So we all want to be in a position of conscious creation and witnessing the results, don't we? Okay, so a perfect state of being. All right, so I hope that makes sense so far. And just to say that I'm not taking anything away from people that are happy just where they are and working for someone else in a job or career or whatever the case may be. There is no right or wrong, but we all want a level of awareness for expression and creation, which is ultimately our natural state. Okay, without this, life could just become a mundane existence with no purpose or peace or the joy of being. Okay, without that level of awareness and consciousness for what we're actually choosing and what we're choosing to create in our lives and to express. Okay, so life should be and truly is dynamic. This needs to be realized and lived. So realizing you're always working for yourself, despite the fact that you may be in a job or working for someone else, will take a level of awareness that needs to be developed and which is unlimited. Okay, so meaning, awareness, consciousness is ever expressing, ever expanding, and so, unlimited, and we're all at different levels, if that makes sense. So just to unpack a little bit more and just give a little bit of backdrop, just going to chat a little bit on consciousness and unconsciousness. So to understand the statement, you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself, we need to have a little awareness and understand how the conscious and subconscious minds work. So there are all walks of life, as we know, and each person is ticking each box in terms of rich, poor, joyful, depressed, fulfilled, not fulfilled, purpose-driven, feeling of no purpose, etc. So basically what I'm saying is, anyone out there is pretty much playing all sorts of different roles that human beings are basically experiencing. So from, and I say in inverted commas, good to not so good, to put it very, very mildly. So my point is these roles or states are mostly on an unconscious level and being subject to the environment, i.e. upbringing, economic surrounding, parents, no parents, etc., etc. Okay. So studies have shown that 95% of our brain functions on the unconscious level. Of course, the unconscious or subconscious mind is incredible and beyond words, and we need it to operate as it does, as it processes various tasks incredibly much faster than on the conscious level. This, of course, becomes necessary when we need to perform these intricate and time sensitive tasks that the conscious mind would just slow things down. So this is especially important when it comes to critical environmental decision, example, to survive or prevent major injury. Okay, so our conscious mind is where we choose, based on our or your level of consciousness, what programs to input into the subconscious mind. Okay, and where we use this to create new ideas and make novel decisions, meaning the conscious mind is where we create new ideas and novel decisions, which we then input into the subconscious. But until we are aware, we obviously remain unaware of this. We are run by these subconscious programs, which are linked to our environments, especially, for example, in our first 7 years, which is called the theta stage or imaginative hypnotic. So part of life where the core of our life is pretty much laid out and the subconscious programs are ingrained, so to speak. So this is more obviously generalizing, generally speaking, of course, but the key is we can start to reprogram the subconscious mind, which is the inner world within us. And then this will have an effect on the outer world, which we see. So we can reprogram these subconscious. We can consciously decide to change these subconscious programs. Okay, if these subconscious programs are of a negative nature, they perhaps may not be serving us the best or in a harmonious way, and will mostly be repetitive again until we become aware of this fact. So until we are conscious of these repetitive programs, we won't be able to start inputting new programs that will better serve us. Okay. I suppose the question is, how do we know this? My question is basically, how do we know if we are conscious and what level of consciousness we are? So I believe in a nutshell, you will know this more or less by the evidence of pain or suffering in your life. So, and this doesn't need to be a major pain or suffering. It could be mild anxiety, for instance, but it will be repetitive too, i.e. what, in terms of what we are not learning. Pain and suffering being the universal signals to change or adapt. So meaning, you stub your toe, you obviously remember not to, kick the step again when you coming into the door, whatever the case may be. Okay, so basically it will be your level of consciousness, awareness will be based on, your pain and suffering. And pain and suffering, just to remember, is not good or bad, but what can you learn from that situation, if that makes sense. Okay. Ultimately, life is as mentioned, should be lived dynamically and in the joy of being and creating, which I must just add is our natural state. Okay, so I'm just touching on a few very small fragments of consciousness and unconsciousness, but I'm sure you can find more out there on the web. Okay, Bruce Lipton and Gabor Mate, for instance, they do some awesome work in this field as examples. Side notes, practicing meditation can help with becoming more centered and conscious and aware of the programs habitually run by the unconscious mind or subconscious mind. So my point is, most people are unconscious or living in a sleep state, not creating and not living dynamically, but repetitively and subject to their surroundings. And I've repeated myself there. On one hand, it seems to be sad or unfair that some people are born into poverty or an abusive environment, perhaps, and so subject to this environment and their subconscious patterns. This does seem to be a disadvantage, as most people, and again, generally speaking, will then live what they learn, which is so true. And, mostly this is what happens in life. So, which is why it is important to become aware of this and perhaps look at your environment to make some changes, i.e., people you are associating with, or even so much as where you are living. So, this is easier said than done, but I'm just putting it out there. So, however, despite the apparent disadvantage people might have in their lives, we have seen and heard time and time again that individuals transcend their apparent disadvantage situation, and these are people that have come from not very good environments at all. People are predictable in mass and unpredictable individually, and each person is absolutely capable of transcending the situation. So anyone watching this needs to know this. So it's a little bit of encouragement there. Well, it's a lot. It's basically a lot of encouragement. Okay. So just to be clear, and perhaps to repeat, until we become aware and conscious of the fact that we are creating our lives, we are going to be unconscious and subject to the world, which makes me think of that scripture saying of Romans 12:12, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect. So it's quite a profound quote. Okay, so how this relates to their work environment. So hopefully that's given a little bit of background, a bit of a backdrop to work with. Okay, so how this then relates to work and your job or career, etc., business, then becomes apparent and evident when you look at where you currently are and the choices you have made up to this point. So I use my current job or working and life journey thus far, for example, as I can now look back and clearly see this from what I've created, which has not served me so well, to how consciously the decisions I'm making now are serving me. And the key is harmonious living. Okay. Can you look back on your journey thus far and perhaps see the road you took and the decisions you have made up to this point and how they have led you to where you are now? The real question is, do we realize the power we have and how we have created thus far? So that takes a level of awareness, but quite amazing when you can look back and see that. Okay, so and to be clear, this is not to be looked at from a perspective of good or bad, but purely observing. We are learning that as all. No need for guilt or condemnation, as this will just create more of the same you do not want. So to stay focused on the topic of you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself, and why I came up with this statement is as mentioned above. And I've experienced and witnessed this firsthand, and in contrast within my work environment, as example, i.e. just working to have a job and paying the bills, to taking on the role that I'm the one who's paying myself and not the company I'm working for, if that makes sense, and seeing the results that follow. Okay, so this is a very powerful way of thinking and will transform how you go about your job or career, or even if you have your own business, as this puts accountability and creative power right in your hands where it really always is. Okay, to understand this, let's unpack a little bit more. So a starting point, and let's say a possible shortcut, and never really any shortcuts, as it's going to be based on experience, but not to say that there should be any definitive time placed, as time varies for everyone. Okay. So a good starting point is going to be dropping any form of doubt and guilt, and then of course practicing the statement and these principles alongside experience and learning through various other means. Okay, so dropping doubt and guilt is going to be very important. Doubt and guilt will rob you of everything and are not necessary by any means, except to learn that you did not need them. If you do not drop them, then any positive thinking will be trumped by the doubt. Or by doubt. And so, for example, the statement of you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself, may fall on deaf ears or not reach your subconscious mind. Meaning that if you may adopt this new way of thinking or this phrase and believe it wholeheartedly, only for life to continue and this to be forgotten and doubt sweeping it all away. So we need to practice these things, and practice being the key. Okay, so I hope that does make sense. Because if you're not aware, then you will fall back to, repetitive, perhaps negative patterns. Okay, so you could tailor your own statement as well. You don't have to stick with what I've said above here. Okay, so all you need to do is practice these things and watch the results for yourself. You could expand this towards life in general and say something like, I'm always creating my life, or the life I live. Again, just as an example. But again, to repeat, to transform your working life, practice with belief or realizing this particular statement. This will put you in the seat of accountability and guiding your life and decisions. And again, this will work outside of work or your job or career. You can come up with many other examples, relationships, etc. Okay. Another idea to use in the work environment, if you are working in a job or company, is to think like the owner or CEO. Granted, some are not the ideal role models in some businesses, but you know what I mean. Don't just see yourself as just an employee, as you will continue to just be an employee in this job or your next, and dependent on a paycheck that you perceive comes from someone else, as opposed to you commanding your life and direction. You will think bigger and operate on a different level with your colleagues, superiors, and your clients. And this is not in a way to boost the ego, i.e. in order to feel better about yourself, as ego is from a point of fear and lacking. We are working from the basis of everything already being here now, in terms of abundance and wholeness, in terms of us all being whole and having everything already, and so with nothing to add, but rather to realize. Okay, so I hope that's making sense. And to add, this is from a point of view of expansion and creation and enjoying the process along the way. This is very important. Okay, so the journey is as important and linked to the end goal. Okay, so again, adopt this and experience for yourself and see how it changes things for you. You can and should adopt this in every sphere of life, and not only your job as mentioned, career or business, as this will lead to other further benefits and true gems in this dynamic world we live. So just some examples, and from my experience as well, and what can become evident to you as well. By adopting this statement, you are never working for someone else, but always for yourself, or your own statement. In your job or career or business, for example, in a job, you won't have people telling you what to do, as you probably will be leading them in a way or another, and this could be a subtle form of leadership, even if it is not your role, because you are now applying yourself in the best capacity, and so any doubt will be removed. Okay, so, and if people are telling you what to do, honor that, especially if it is from their owner or superior, as ultimately this is their business or their role, and so their goals to be fulfilled. But soon you will perhaps find less of this, or either won't bother you, or it will be in a collaborative way too. Besides, no ego, no problem. That does take a little bit of practice as well. What else? You may very well find yourself getting an increase in opportunities to grow. You may then find yourself growing beyond the current position you are in, and then either moving up in the company or move out of the company onto new ventures or opportunities. You will tap into skills and capabilities that you never realized you had due to tapping into a work ethic you also did not think you had, and not necessarily having to work harder, but working smarter. You'll have less stress and anxiety, as you will feel confident, as you will be performing at your best and with nothing to prove, and so no room for doubt. This could perhaps lead you to your true purpose if you are currently not doing that already. And I'm just whisking through these things, but I'm just trying to keep the time down a little bit on this video. So you'll probably be bulletproof. You'll become bulletproof in terms of not living in fear of your job, as you are guiding your life, and so not dependent on ultimately what can be a small part in the greater scheme of life, i.e. your job or career, and being capable of doing anything. So basically what I'm meaning is, so many of us can just get caught in our job, career, the stress that it can bring, which sometimes we create ourselves, or a lot of it we create ourselves, and we have to step out of this thinking and realize there's way more to life than just a small part of your life. And when you're guiding yourself, you are capable of doing anything, and so not dependent on this job or career or whatever it is you're currently doing. If it's meaning, I'm not taking anything away from it, but I hope you get my point. Okay, so you could perhaps now ask yourself what you think you deserve, or rather choose in terms of salary, or to be compensated for what you would like to earn, or how you would like to live your life. So, it's another aspect to practicing this type of thinking or this statement, bearing in mind not living in the ego, which is fear and lacking, operating from the basis of abundance, and and operating from the basis of abundance and expressing, expanding, and enjoying the process. I repeated myself there, but just to link it all together. So these are just a few examples of adopting this awareness into your life. And I'm sure many of you out there can testify to how changing a few concepts about yourself has added value to your life, which would be great to hear about. So yeah, please do drop any comments. It'd be great to hear that. So we're here to expand and grow, and as mentioned, to add value and to live a fulfilled life, not to be stagnant and unfulfilled. And this all happens now in the present moment, where we start to change these habits and realize the fruits. Okay. Are you really working for someone else, or are you directing your life, dreams, and goals? If you are exactly where you think you should be in the job or career or business you are in, that is pretty awesome. If not, start practicing this statement, or your own statement and the principles, and expanding your awareness, and see how things change for you. Also, this is not to negate working effectively in a team, but to honor yourself and your input. Okay. And this is a small part of life in terms of these principles and awareness, and there's a ton of information out there. So, I'm sure you can go out there and find even more out there. So seek and you shall find, but from my side, there's going to be much more coming. So look forward to sharing more with you guys. So I hope this has had some useful information, and keen to hear some feedback, and I'll check you in the next video. Thanks guys. Cheers. Take care.